Twitch.tv multi-streaming with https://restream.io.
She's almost annoying as Alexa when she tells me that I don't have the proper music subscription to play a certain song.
I forgot we turned that on because we had a viewer yesterday, and so we wanted him to be able to participate since it was just one person in the chat, so I turned that on.
Gotcha.
Okay. Alright, I think we're good. Let me minimize this now. Oh. I'm getting a message on my phone. Oh, it's just Twitch telling me I'm live. Okay. Let me close browser window, close Steam, close Hangouts. I just don't want anything popping up on screen, that I don't expect.
Yeah, I generally go through and close everything, if nothing else, but to preserve computing power, because it's always a limited commodity.
If I ever win the lottery, you're going to have a big beastly gaming computer that just runs everything flawlessly.
At the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, Jesus, excuse me. Sorry. Okay. So I guess we'll do a proper, no, we don't, because I'm going to edit you into the regular show. So, if anybody happens to be watching, which I don't think they are, but the number might be wrong, welcome to the With Disadvantage podcast. I'm your host and DM, Chev, and today we're doing a follow-on to yesterday's Solstice episode 7 episode, the Ottovon edition.
It's always the best edition.
Yes, the greatest edition of them all. So what happened last time was you guys decided, after messing around with a magical door in the solar mines, which is my bad. I realized I was kind of trolly.
And I wasn't involved in that.
That's right. You weren't there. Wait, did you miss the week before too?
No, Ottovon.
Oh, you were at the castle.
Exactly. Went directly over to Castle with him.
And you showed up right as they gave up, and then Willie opened the door.
Yep. Okay. Found out at the wrong time that all the water had been taken, slipped away, only having to kill a couple of guards this time, thankfully. And rendezvoused briefly with the others before deciding to go solo back to the Dominion to see what the hell is going on.
That's right. Okay. All right, so you have split off to head back to the Dominion. Now, are you stopping anywhere along the way, or can we just jump you and Naya into Dominion territory?
Now, so to answer your first question, yeah, he's not going to stop anywhere except for possibly to take a long rest. Although he may have... No, he did that last episode. I remember now. But Naya... So Naya decided to go with him after all. What prompted her to go with Ottovon, and when did Ottovon notice that she was following him?
Truth be told, I couldn't remember that she wasn't going with you, so I thought she did go with you. But yeah, she basically... Dragthar right now has been kind of a mess. While his followers, what's left of them anyway, have been kind of scattered around, and nobody knows what's going on. And Dragthar's been mostly silent about everything that he was talking about before. He hasn't talked about anything. He kind of just tagged along with them to see if they could figure out what the water is, because it was an adventure, and so he left with them to go investigate the water. Naya is basically kind of fearful for what's going to happen with Dragthar. And while she's afraid of going back to the Dominion, you kind of convinced her with the words, that you gave her, where basically saying she survived the fall in the pit, and as tradition is in the Dominion, she should be absolved of, her crimes, basically.
Yeah, legal theory, but I don't know that it's really ever... Ottovon doesn't really know that it's ever been applied to a non-kobold, because the whole... The scam is that it's supposed to favor kobolds.
Right. And so Naya is worried, but she's trusting you and following you at this point. she still thinks that she can convince you that the Dominion is not serving your interests.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good travel conversation.
Ottovon,
Yeah.
before we get into Dominion territory, I want you to keep an open mind.
I think I've done that. And
I know
I
you
just
think
don't...
so, but I think the Queen doesn't have your best interests in mind, and I want you to keep your eyes open for evidence of that fact while we're here. If, as you say, the Queen does have your best interests in mind, or is this is the best place for you to be for whatever reason, I will concede that point if I am proven wrong, though I doubt I will be.
It never hurts to be on the winning side, and if the Dominion's going to keep the water, even if the Dominion did plot to steal the water, let's assume for argument's sake that they did. Well, best army, they have the best spy network. If war's going to come, you want to be on the side of the Dominion, or do you want to be on the side that the Dominion smashes?
I want to keep my integrity intact, no matter what choice I make.
I think that's why I like you, Naya. Always a martyr, always trying to serve the greater good.
Well, I appreciate that, but we better get a move on. It's getting dark, and we need to make our way through quite a bit of Dominion territory, yes?
Yes, we do. I don't see any problems. I don't see any problems ahead.
All right,
I'm well known.
As you guys cross off the out of the solar plane, or well, you're in the solar plane still technically, but out of Withgard or Withelm, you cross out of this kind of green yellow area, because they don't do a lot of farming, so it's just a lot of like wispy weeds in the wind, basically in Withelm. But you guys approach these large cobblestone walls that are falling apart. And there's one opening right next to an ancient tower that is now basically half standing. And as you approach this tower, you notice that there is a large circular wooden disc, think like a big wooden plywood disc, and probably about 15 feet in diameter. And it's laying there, leaned up against this old brick, and it looks pretty new. The wood's not worn on the disc, but the wood there. So there are barrels nailed to this thing, and so this disc is leaned up on its side against this wall, and there are barrels nailed to it, and the barrels are just kind of poking off of it. And the barrels look old, but you recognize them. They are the barrels that Withelm exports that contain. They're magically imbued to hold basically a shitload of water. And so you see those propped up there, stuck to this circular disc, and yeah, it definitely looks out of place.
I don't remember that being there. Do you?
No, Ottovon, but I do know one thing. That's the entrance. That's the official entrance to Blackmark, or what's left of it.
That's the official entrance, huh? Is that how official was it if you had to keep it in secret?
Well, we use the portal to keep everyone unawares of the actual physical location of Blackmark, but in an emergency, this tower is where we would enter the Blackmark hideout.
So that's the entrance to Blackmark. And that is a board of wood with a bunch of rain barrels nailed to it. These rain barrels look like... How many acre feet do you think that is?
Gosh, one of those barrels can sustain an active business like a tavern for a couple weeks. And there's probably at least there's probably about 7 to 9 barrels. However many would fit on a 15-foot diameter disc. And these barrels are probably, a couple feet in diameter themselves. So you can kind of sort of get an idea of how many there would be.
Oh?
It looks like someone has popped the lids off these barrels. This must be what they used to flood the hideout.
Yeah. Maybe it was the Dominion that flooded the place. Although I have to question, what the perceived threat was. I mean, we all know based
Ottovon,
on
really? Dragthar just said he wanted to stop the Dominion from taking the water. Maybe the Dominion is actually taking the water?
I guess my question is whether the minion saw it as knew that much specifically, or still like with him regarded the black mark as just a gang of criminals.
I'm not sure. But it definitely looks like someone knew exactly where to put this. Nobody but a member of Blackmark should have been able to know where this entrance was located.
Well, what can I say? How many kobolds were among the dinner party that night? I knew that one of them had to still be, Dominion loyal.
I'm afraid you might be right. We have a traitor in our midst. Hopefully he was one of the ones that drowned with the rest.
If he was setting that up, I'm sure he had an escape plan.
True.
Well,
although he may have only been responsible for reporting our location, not for actually setting up the attack.
That also might be the case, in which instance I would suspect that his intelligence reports back also lacked the intention of Blackmark. At any rate,
yes, let's get to move
on. And this is a very poor conversation to be having on this side of that wall. No more discussion of Blackmark for the rest of this duration of this trip.
Understood, Ottovon. And you guys make your way down the path, and as you guys go into Dominion territory, it just gets darker and almost a little colder, and the trees don't have any leaves on them. They look like they've been dead for years. One tree is
crows and ravens.
One tree is kind of hanging on up in front of you to your left. It's kind of a bigger and taller tree. Its roots are deeper, and so it's the last of its kind, basically, still surviving in a season where they should be thriving right now, but they definitely lack water, apparently.
And they probably have extensive root damage.
Mm-hmm. And so you guys keep making your way down. It takes about a couple hours, I think, to make it through the whole path into Dominion territory. All the way to the Forbidden Ruins. And you approach this rather large, crumbling tower that looks pretty much abandoned, but you recognize it as the marker for the entrance to the underground tunnels for the Dominion. And so you make your way through, carefully, trying not to make too much noise. Even Naya remembers this. These ruins are pretty old. And you guys carefully make your way through this tower out to the back. And then you follow behind the ruins here. There's a winding staircase down that's hidden kind of behind the rocks, and you guys go downward into the Dominion, true Dominion territory. Most of the Solar Plains citizens don't really know much about the Dominion, but you know that nobody really lives on the surface in Dominion territory. So as you guys begin to descend, it's dark and it gets colder as you get lower below ground, and there are torches actively lit. So someone has clearly maintained these torches, and normally there's supposed to be a Dominion guard at the point that you've reached now, about 10-20 feet underground. Someone is supposed to have stopped you by now, but so far nothing.
Gotcha. All right, I'm going to ask you a small favor. Sit tight. Bowie's asleep. I'm going to go put him down to free myself up, and then we can look forward to the continuing the rest of this with no further interruptions. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, yippee skippy, that was victory. All right.
Okay.
Still, so, Ottovon turns to Naya. Well, this is a little odd. Where's the guard?
That's a good question. It's been a long time since I've been in these parts, but I do remember there used to be someone stationed here.
Yeah, he was stationed there a couple weeks ago when I left, so, um, a very recent change.
Interesting.
No way to go but forward, I suppose.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
I mean, guard or no guard. I mean, maybe he could be taking a piss for all we know. We just need to keep going. I mean,
Naya
I expect.
draws her rapier from her side and holds it kind of out in front of her as she follows close behind you.
Oh, put that back.
What if we encounter hostility?
We're home.
Yes, but what if it's not Dominion hostility?
Who draws a sword and holds it out at home? If anything's gonna raise suspicion,
Someone
start a
who's
fight, it's gonna be
defending their
that.
home from an invader, perhaps?
You can draw plenty fast. Just put the sword down.
Don't worry about me, Ottovon. I'm behind you. Nobody can see me anyway.
I hope you're right. And so Ottovon's just gonna keep going.
Okay. And Naya follows close behind.
And do I see anything? Let's see. I believe that I have. I believe he has dark vision. Maybe he doesn't.
So you don't see anything. Well, so like I said, you don't need dark vision. There's torches lit. So someone did their duty of lighting the torches today, but no one's guarding the entrance. But you do catch a very faint sound of someone yelling off in the distance. Just,
like they're singing in the shower, or like what?
It's hard to tell. It's very faint. It almost sounds spooky with how it's echoed around the corridors and everything to get to you, ultimately.
Gotcha. I'm gonna keep on slipping forward, but before I do, I want to check one thing. I'm trying to get to my equipment page. Here we go. Cure wounds, invisibility. Oh, that's tempting. Jeez.
You do have Naya with you.
Yeah. Let's see. Invisibility. I'm gonna check on the spell and make sure I understand exactly what it does. Any creature you touch becomes invisible until the spell ends. Anything the target is wearing or carrying is invisible as long as it's on the person. The spell ends for a target. Oh, the spell ends for a target that casts or attacks or casts a spell. So concentration up to 1 hour. Okay, cool. Then, Ottomon's gonna pull the harp, and he's going to turn to Naya. Naya, hold still. And he's gonna strum a little bit, boom, 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 and then touch her, and she's gonna disappear.
What happened, Ottovon? And she looks down at her hand and her rapier, and she can see through herself in this translucent. From her, she can see a sort of a translucent outline of herself as she looks down. And she says, "What happened to my arm? What happened to my other? What happened to me?"
I'm gonna use message. You point your finger toward a creature within range and whisper a message, and I'm gonna tell her, from now on, be silent. I made you invisible. There's some strange sounds ahead.
Where did you learn to make someone invisible? Was it that harp that you picked up?
Is she messaging me back?
Yes. Yeah, this is responding through the message.
Okay, so she understands then to just communicate
she got
that
the
way.
Message, yes.
Okay, yeah. I slept with the harp. Nothing happened, but the harp and I came to a wonderful understanding, and there are certain abilities that this harp can give me that would have been wasted on Demon Boy, by the way. But yeah, one of them is making
This spell
people
required
invisible.
concentration, right?
I don't think it did. It didn't say anything about that.
I'm pretty sure it did. Let me look.
Um,
Visibility. Concentration up to 1 hour. Yes.
oh, okay. So then, and you've discovered that the rules on concentration are a lot looser than what you and I thought.
I have it up right here just in case. You can move and attack as normal. You can end concentration at any time with no action required. Concentration is broken if you cast another spell that requires concentration. So if you try to make yourself invisible, she will become visible. When you take damage, make a Constitution saving throw. The DC is 10, or half the damage you take, whichever is higher. And if you fail the save, you lose concentration. So if you take damage, you basically have to roll a save. If you are incapacitated or you die, obviously it ends then. Or environment, if you're on a ship hit by a wave or something like that, you might have to make a DC 10 con save to maintain concentration.
Gotcha. It's basically anything that jostles the character in a big way.
Yeah, something that would really grab your attention.
Gotcha. Cool. So then, yeah, I'm going to keep on proceeding, and I'm going to start sneaking until I can determine what the sound is. So I don't know if I have to roll for that at this time or...
So you don't hear it anymore. You just heard it once so far.
Gotcha.
You can roll a perception check if you'd like to see if you can tell what the sound was.
Sure. I would love to. First check of the night.
Yep.
When I'm role playing, I always do, lately I just don't do that many checks. So if I get
it's because you role play well, and so I made it that rule so you don't have to do a lot of checks if you role play well.
I love it. Let's see. Nope, that's persuasion. Perception, there it is.
It seems like from what I read on Reddit, most people like being able to not have to roll if they're actually trying to get into their character.
I like it that way too. Because there's nothing worse than when I'm like doing something well and logic dictates I'd be successful, and then I roll like a 3. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll make you roll if I'm unsure what the character is going to do, and so I'll need the dice to decide for me, so I don't sit there and stumble. Okay. Yeah. So you can't. It sounded like a male voice. That's all you can discern.
Gotcha. All right, so then, yeah, I'm going to keep on creeping down, just trying to walk as naturally as I can so that if anybody were to see me before I see them, I don't look like I'm trying to sneak, but also being as quiet as I can be.
Okay. All right, so as you approach, you're expecting the chamber to open up pretty soon. There's a big main hall in the Dominion that you are familiar with. And it's very dim. Everything in the Dominion territory is very dimly lit just by torches and stuff like that. And so as you make your way down and you come out to this room, this big hall, there's a giant statue in here of Queen... What was her name again? Nira? Queen Nira.
Neral.
Neral. No, wasn't it Nira? Anyway.
No, Neral.
Okay, well, I will retcon that then if I wherever I have it listed because I thought I heard Nira. Sorry. So Queen Neral has basically had a giant statue erected of her, this huge kobold statue that stretches to the top of this dome ceiling in there, and on the top of this dome is some rough etchings that look very familiar from above. They look like the etchings on the actual Skyglass dome, and they are except for they have sort of a almost like darker moniker to them, darker tone. It's a different take on the Skyglass images, if that makes sense. It's hard to describe what's in my head. And so it's very interesting how the Dominion perceives things down here. You're very familiar with how xenophobic they are, how they do not like to mingle with people on the surface, and they have very unique beliefs about the world and how things work. But Queen Neral definitely believes herself to be far superior to she believes herself to be the supreme leader, basically, of not only the kobold but everything. And the kobolds themselves find themselves to be superior to everyone and every race and everything, as you know. And so everyone who's still in the Dominion at this point in time, pretty much just concedes that the kobolds rule everything. At one point in time, that would have been considered absurd, but the kobolds basically rose up and took back their territory. It's all the stuff that's happened long before you were born, so it's hard to say exactly when the kobolds took completely over. I'm not conflicting with anything you already thought you knew about the Dominion, am I?
Well, I was just going to clarify your point and say that when when the war finished and the Dominion basically was able to preserve itself through an alliance of kobold and other dark races like goblins, orcs, things like that. There was like a rough parody, and the kobolds, just because they dug the trenches that rescued the last bit of that army as it was under siege, took a little bit more power, but they've increased it incrementally over the centuries. And so it's just been this slow loss of equality that every generation it's like, no, this is the way it's always been, plus a couple changes. So by the time you get 1,000 years out from the end of the war, all of the others hate the way that it is, but they don't realize just how different it is from the way things were at the conclusion of the war. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. In fact, I should probably just defer to you more often when talking about the Dominion and then carry it on from there, because I kind of let you have free reign on what that all looks like. So yeah, that sounds good.
I have that Google Doc to share with you after this.
Oh yeah, cool. Definitely do that. Okay, so this big dome area with this big statue in it is normally filled with people. There's usually people kind of going about their business. It's kind of a central corridor to everything. If you look around the room, there are corridors that branch off in every which direction. So this is like the welcome area. This is like where anything that goes on in the Dominion, you're going to have to cross through here at some point, probably. It's kind of the nexus point. And there is nobody. Nobody is to be seen. But you, as you walk into this room, you and Naya both hear more yelling, "Ah!" coming from a corridor to your left.
All right. Just out of curiosity and the fact that there's nobody else around, I'm going to start heading that direction.
Okay. Naya follows closely behind with her rapier still drawn. I don't have maps for all this, by the way, so hopefully you're okay with just theater of the mind here.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys go down this corridor, and as you get closer, you start to hear more and more chatter that was not loud enough to reach you where you were before. And you just hear people talking. "Hi! Did you get that approved through the Queen?" And you hear someone else reply, "We don't need to! We've got to get this taken care of!" And you just hear them, they're frantic about something. They're all working on something. You can't see them yet. But this corridor leads into an area where basically the tunnels are under construction. And they're actually constructing a new main nexus area. So it's an even larger chamber with an even larger statue.
I'm going to tuck behind a corner. And if I'm still unseen, which, I mean, I don't think anybody has had an opportunity to see me because I don't think I'm close enough, I'm going to pull a piece of parchment out of my pack.
Okay.
And I'm going to use the spell Illusory Script and scrawl a note from King Wilhelm that says, "Dearest Queen Nero, our friends of our friends going back centuries. We understand that the water has been rerouted. We are very surprised by this action, but we request more time for negotiations. Please send Ottovon at your earliest convenience, and we will deliver upon him a proposal.
And what did you do with all that
Or we will
information? What did you do with all that information?
I used illusory script to cast that on that paper.
Oh, okay. And then what are you doing with this with the paper?
Tucking it in my jacket pocket.
Okay. All right. You'll have to remind me everything that was on it later.
All right.
Okay. All right. Is that all you do? You keep approaching?
Yep. So I tuck that in my pocket, and then I keep approaching.
Okay. What is your passive perception?
Let's see.
14. So as you keep walking, you hear a sound come from above you. Just a little.
Okay. I'm gonna look up.
Okay, you look up, and it's hard to see. You have dark vision, though, so you can make out the ceiling a little better than someone else might. And you catch a glimpse, open the combat tracker, please, of a winged kobold.
All right.
Which you are familiar with. There's not as many winged kobolds as there are regular kobolds in the Dominion, but there's a fair bit of them, and they mostly they fly around just hauling buckets of minerals and supplies and stuff. They're not super strong, so they can't do a lot of digging, but especially in these larger chambers, they can haul supplies back and forth across these big chambers. And
Gotcha.
You see it up there just hanging upside down, and it's looking at you with one eye wide open.
Can Ottovon tell, like, did he have a clear line of sight to the corner where I basically put a spell on that parchment?
It's hard to tell, but probably.
Gotcha. I'm gonna look right up at him, and I'm gonna say, finally, living, breathing body around here. This place is quite empty. You know me, I'm Ottovon. I've got an audience with the queen. Will you guide me to wherever her new throne room was? I expected to run into her sooner.
And this winged kobold basically spreads out his wings and then lets go of the ceiling, swoops down and lands. He comes up to about your waist, and he lands on the ground, and then he looks at you, and then he looks behind you and says, "What's this one?"
What did he say?
"What's this one?" Looking at nothing.
Can he see her even though she's invisible?
Oh, that's right. She's invisible. Fuck. Sorry, my bad. I forgot. Okay, never mind. He flies down and just looks at you, and he says, "What's that you have there?"
Well, it's a message for the queen.
I can fly message to queen.
You know what? I would feel better about it, delivering it personally if it's all the same to you.
Fine. And he kind of walks around you. He's like just annoying, and you're used to this. These winged kobolds are very annoying. They don't have a lot to do because they can't do much, and so they just kind of fly around, chattering and being annoying little trolls.
All right, you know what? I'll make you a deal. Do you like things that smell nice?
That smell nice? Like what?
I've met a few other winged workers like yourself who enjoy a shot of perfume. Would you like a shot of perfume?
What is perfume? Shot of perfume?
Yeah, hold out your hand, if you would.
He holds out like these couple little like bat-looking claw things.
Okay. You're really gonna enjoy this, so I'd advise, heading up to where you were sleeping, and I mean, your nostrils are gonna be in heaven. So, I pull out my little vial of perfume, hold it out in front of him so he can see that there's no tricks. I don't want to make him nervous, and then pop the cork, dab a little drop on him, and then put it back in my pack.
Oh, goody souvenir from Surface. And
you
put a drop on him, and his nostrils flare as he takes in the whiff of it, and he's, "What is this? This is fantastic."
That's perfume. Go over there, enjoy yourself. I'm gonna keep on going. Which way to the? Will you just point me the?
Two more
right
winged
direction before you
kobolds
go?
come down from the ceiling. "What is this? What do you have?" And then the other one, I want to try as well. You have more perfume,
Oh.
yes?
Yes, a drop for each of you. This is expensive stuff.
Wow, yes.
All right, so I'm gonna give like, and I'm gonna turn to Wing Kobold 3 and say, okay, now, if you will, just point me the right direction. I'll keep going and enjoy yourself.
Point you in direction of what? You know your way around.
Well, I haven't been around since the remodeling started. Remember, I left a couple weeks ago.
We've been working on this chamber for months. Has something happened to your head?
Yeah, it's been bumped a few times. Look, my last trip over to Withelm did not go as planned. I'm very tired. Will you just point me the right direction?
So he looks the direction you're headed, and then you notice that you look out there and notice that you can see the ledge where it shows over the room, and you can see that there are workers in there shouting at each other, but not very many, just a few.
I'm gonna turn over to him. Where is everybody?
Everyone. I'm not supposed to say. Come, and he grabs the other two kobolds and he says, "Leave the man alone." And they start to walk away with their perfume.
All right, I'm gonna take this as a blessing and just keep on. I'm just gonna start walking toward the workers.
Okay. All right, so they go ahead and move on. They're fascinated by this souvenir you brought them from the surface. So.
Combat avoided.
All right, they move right past Naya. Naya has to kind of dodge out of the way as they walk by her, and then they start flying around and they're kind of wrestling around with the potion. They're all sniffing each other's drops of perfume. And then you approach the chamber, and so you can see over the ledge more from the hallway that you're in. And this large chamber, you can see the statue half built. It's like the bottom half of Queen Neril on this big stone statue. And this chamber is far more ornate than the last. And it has some sort of like red line etchings of what they're going to paint on the top of this dome. So kind of sort of a sketch of what's up there. But they haven't even started it yet. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of progress since the last time you were here.
Gotcha.
And you haven't spent a lot of time in this area. Usually it's just populated by a lot of the workers, some kobolds, and then a lot of the other races that have no choice but to help haul heavy things and construct this chamber. But this chamber leads off to the Queen's Chamber that you're familiar with. It's to your right from this point. But there's nobody over there that you can see. Nothing's lit up over there either.
Oh, it's not lit up?
No, and normally there are like royal guards that stand outside, these ornate kobolds that have special armor and weapons, and they stand outside that corridor because it's the only corridor that leads into the Queen's Chamber from the new place, and they've already demolished the old corridors. So they've already started to use this place even though it's half built.
Gotcha. So looking around the room, can I see any signs of where, if this is being phased out, can I see where the up-and-coming stuff is being built in?
Sorry, this is all the upcoming stuff. The chamber you came from is the one that's being phased out.
Gotcha. So, other than heading toward the Queen's quarters, are there any other routes that I can take?
Oh yeah, there's lots of them. So it looks like all the workers are focused on this one tunnel on the very far left, so opposite the tunnel that would lead to the Queen's Chamber. The Queen's Chamber, like I said, looks dead. You can go check on it yourself, but there's no lights from over there. No torches and no guards.
Ottovon's smart enough to know that it would look weird for him to head down that way. Somebody'd notice and wonder what he's doing. So I'm going to start heading towards the the area with all the buzz.
Okay. And as you get over there, you look like you look down and you see below. You're probably like, this room is pretty big. You're like on the third story, basically. So pretend this is a mall, and you're looking down one of those areas of the mall. Yeah, where you can see the different levels, and you're looking down and you can see the two levels below you. And at the very bottom level, they have some weird contraption that looks like pipes, like giant pipes that are headed down the corridor that they've just constructed. And these pipes come into this main chamber, and they feed into a large machine that also looks sort of half constructed. Well, more than half. It's like 90% constructed, but there's still parts of it that have yet to be put together.
Can I identify the machine or the pipes? Does any of that make sense to me?
No, you don't know what is going on down there, what's being built. Clearly, Queen Nero has commanded them to build something.
Okay.
But this pipe is so large that you could probably fit a few people inside it side by side, walking through it, standing straight up tall without hunkering down. And it goes through this large corridor that you thought was going to be a grand hall at some point, because it was going to lead to like this big mess area where you all eat and stuff. But you can see this pipe go straight through that corridor, and there's like no room to fit on the sides of it. It's taking up the entire width of that corridor of what you thought was going to be a grand hall.
Gotcha. Gosh. Do I recognize any of the workers? Like, are any of them my friends?
Go ahead and roll a perception check.
All right.
Are you friends with Kobold?
I'm kind of friends with everybody, given the gregarious nature of my character, as well as the the communicative and representative nature of my job.
Okay. All right, so you look down below and you see mostly just grunts. You might know someone's name, but you don't really know them, if that makes sense. Like maybe you recognize their face or something, but they're just workers. You're used to seeing workers all over the place, expanding tunnels, adjusting supports in tunnels, you name it. They're just all over the place doing the grunt work, and that's all that all of these are down here. There's a few orcs, there's some elves, there is a bunch of kobold, because there's always so many kobold in the Dominion.
Gotcha.
that they have to use them for stuff, even if they do think they're superior.
Okay, I'm going to approach an elf.
Okay.
If there's one that's close enough to be approached.
Yeah, so there is one elf that's working the machine. He's putting together a large contraption on the edge of the machine that almost looks like it's going to branch off another like duct, another pipe or something. You can't really quite tell, but he's very grungy looking, very dirty, and he looks exhausted, and he's got sweat rolling down his face and soot all over his face.
Okay, perfect. Then yeah, I'm gonna approach him. And
so you need to climb down there. This is all happening 2 stories below you.
Oh, gotcha. Is there like a ladder or some safe way to get there?
So you have to walk over closer to the Queen's chamber on the right side, and then the slope goes down, and you can connect to the next level, and then you can kind of do a U bend and go down to the first level.
Gotcha. Okay. And this third level that I'm at, are there? So there's the Dead Queen's tunnel. Are there any other, like? Does it look? Is this where like royalty and people would stay, or what is this? What is the general theme or purpose of this third level that I'm on?
So yeah, so this would be like, think of like the executive level of a corporate office. Every chamber up here is very ornate and normally would have guards outside them, the Queen's chamber especially, but the rest of them would have at least one guard or something, at least a guard guarding 2 entrances or something, like standing between them. There's normally a lot of activity on this level, and they just moved in, so it's all fresh and brand new. The chamber you just came from only had 1 level, and everything was getting very crowded, which is why they decided to create this new area ultimately. And so
Gotcha.
this top area is basically, think of like whatever offices would look like in an underground cave dwelling society.
Are they deserted, or is there
Yes,
anybody
this
in it?
whole side of the chamber is dead. Is like dead. There's no light. There's no activity. There's nobody there. They're not
Okay.
in their offices. The guards aren't there.
Looking over the parapet, do I see any activity on the second level?
No. So the second level is still largely under construction. It's mostly just tunnels that lead off to different places. So, excuse me. Hold on. I had a cough. The first and second level are basically kind of just transit levels. There's tunnels mostly go different places. There might be a few places here or there, like maybe a closet with some janitorial supplies or stuff like that. But yeah, the third level is for the big business, from the higher Dominion level people, and then the rest of it is just for traveling to elsewhere in Dominion territory.
Gotcha. Now, given Ottovon's obvious familiarity with the place he grew up and the fact that this project's been going on for months, does he already know where, if people aren't inhabiting these apartments or the classic level 1 apartments where they used to be, does Ottovon already know where they are?
No.
Okay,
No, in fact, normal.
so
It's very.
I
I should highlight. This is very unusual for,
yeah,
like, even if the queen's gone with her private guard, the two guards that always follow her around. There's usually still people up there, keeping an eye on things and keeping handling business while the queen's away, stuff like that. And the queen doesn't usually go places unless she's like surveying some new project or some new place you guys are digging, or you guys discovered something while digging, like the chamber that was dug when Dragthar, the whole history with Dragthar there, where he discovered
right.
he discovered his powers and left the Dominion. Anyway, that whole chamber, like, there was stuff in there. You've never been in there, so you don't know what was in there. But there was clearly something that piqued the queen's interest. She was down there for quite a bit when that first was uncovered. She often goes around punishing people, making a show of it. So, like when Naya was thrown in the pit, she was there and commanding them to throw her in the pit. So she really
Gotcha.
gets a kick out of watching people get thrown in the pit.
Does Ottovon know where the barracks are?
Like where you would stay, or what do you mean?
No, no, the barracks, like where they house the soldiers, where the armory'd probably be nearby.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So that is just underneath the Queen's chamber. The hallway that's just under there also looks pretty dead, but it heads back into a chair an area that basically is kind of like a dorm. Lots of sleeping places and stuff, and then branched off of that chamber is a training area, and then there is an armory back there somewhere too, where they can load up on supplies if the
Gotcha. All right.
occasion arises.
So then, yeah, with all this area description, he is gonna go down, both of those diagonal connectors and accost that elf.
Accost him?
Yeah, walk up to him,
Okay.
say hello.
All right, so you make your way down. Nobody sees you. They're all very busy and very exhausted. So far, everyone you look at looks very exhausted. They're very tired. They look like they've been working nonstop for a day or two. And this elf looks up and he just says, "What can I do for you?"
Oh, I wanted to talk to you, not necessarily. No,
Tell the
uh,
queen I'm working as hard as I can. Please, I can't.
no, 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 no. Who do you think I am? I'm another just like you.
You
Relax.
work for the queen. I've seen your face.
I know you've seen my face, but trust me, I don't forget what I am. What's going on here? What's all the toiling about?
You mean you don't know?
No, I've been out of the loop. I've been gone for 2 weeks.
Well, we're not supposed to know, but I thought you would know.
No, no, I've been kind of in the dark about all this, and
I've just been
so
building. I've just been building this contraption, whatever for. I don't know.
Well, it looks like you're doing a great job with it. What's this contraption supposed to do?
I don't know.
You're
It's
building it?
a very
Did
large
you design it?
contraption. Something is supposed to come through this pipe, I imagine. I don't know what.
And where is everybody? Third level's deserted, second level's deserted. Where'd everybody go?
Are you sure you're allowed to be here?
Uh, well, this is where I've always been, but I came in for my trip to Withelm. I mean, my job is to meet with these kings and dukes and whatnot. And there were no guards, nobody to greet me. I just walked down here, and I expected to be able to run into the queen and report, but she's not here. Where is she?
I'm not sure. I don't want to get in trouble by telling you things you're not supposed to know. If you're supposed to know, you would know.
Look, you're another, I'm another, and we can play this one of two ways. You and I can trust each other a little bit, or you can choose to distrust me, and like you said, I know the queen.
Roll a persuasion check.
I could make your life very hard if you want me to.
And an intimidate. Actually, yeah, roll persuasion. Okay.
Oh, I rolled 26.
And then roll an intimidation check.
Well, if I persuaded him, do I have to intimidate him?
Well, you did both. You tried to persuade him, and then you told him you can make his life very hard.
20.
So immediately his eyes go wide, and he kind of gets a tiny bit of surge of adrenaline, and he just says, all right. I don't know what we're building, but it's clearly supposed to transport some type of liquid. I'm imagining water. That's the rumor anyway. I don't know where the queen is, but if she's anywhere, she's probably at the other end of this pipe.
Okay. Well, answer me this then. Not only is the queen missing, every single executive is, and Duke. I mean, everybody's missing.
Something happened. Something happened that they did not expect. I don't know what, but I know the queen looked very upset, and she and her guard stormed down the tunnel over there to the right. It is just to the right of the hall where the pipe is going through. And I don't know what happened to her, but shortly after about 10-15 minutes, everyone else from upstairs, they all went down to follow.
Okay. How long ago was this? Was this an hour ago? Was this 5 hours ago? Was this a day ago?
I've lost all track of time, man. I've been working nonstop for I don't even know how long at this point. But it was at least hours ago, if not a day ago. I don't know.
All right. Okay,
if it's nighttime now, it would be morning, probably, when they left.
We're going to be waiting a long time for nighttime. All right, so then I'm going to thank the elf, and I'm going to start heading down the tunnel that everybody was reported to have gone through.
Okay, and as you're walking, you do start to see that there's lots of footprints. People basically in a hurry, wide gates, because they're kind of at a jog or a run, going down this corridor. And a lot of people. You can tell that they took all the guards and everyone with them. Like that, they have to be this way since you haven't seen them, and something clearly happened that drew their attention. And so you go down this corridor. It's very well lit. There's lots of torches that are hanging on the walls, and they're all lit up nice and neat. Naya leans in and whispers, and she says, "I don't know how I feel about this, Ottovon."
And yeah, I was right about to say with the message whisper, I'm gonna just tell her, "Be ready for anything."
All right.
And so how much time of invisibility does she still have?
So you guys have been traveling for probably about 45 minutes at this point, going through tunnels, and you're walking down this tunnel, so you probably got about 15 minutes left.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let her know that fact. I'm gonna say, "You're only invisible for an hour."
Okay.
So you've got about 15 minutes. Don't
Well,
forget
then,
that. It'll be very awkward if you materialize out of thin air behind me.
I don't have a watch. Do you have a watch?
No.
A timepiece? Anything?
Use Mississippi's if you have to.
I'll do my best, but we should probably stop at least as we get under 10 minutes and refresh it. Don't you think?
I can't.
Why not?
With this harp, I can only cast each type of spell stored within it once a day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so your best bet will just be super sneaky.
Hold on, I have an idea. And she walks over to the side corridor where there's a couple more elves working. And they're just as dingy and grungy as the guy you talked to. And these guys are stringing like wire through the cavern to hang stuff on, to hang like lanterns and stuff on. They've got a few bigger lights, so there's the torches and then there's a few like lanterns hanging from the ceiling, and they're stringing more wire down this corridor to hang more lanterns is what it looks like. And Anaya approaches one, and then she stops, and then how long can she respond to your message?
As long as she's within eyesight, I don't think that there's a limit because it's a
Okay.
it's a
And
cantrip.
so she responds to you. She says, Ottovon, drop the invisibility before I approach them.
So he does.
Okay. And she walks up and she just says, Sir, Mr. Elf, sir. And the elf looks and says, what? And she's like, would you like some clean clothes? And he's like, is this a trick question? She's like, no, I want to trade clothes with you. And he just looks at her really weird, and then he looks up at you, and then it kind of just looks back at her like, huh? Then she looks back at Ottovon. Little help?
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is part of an initiative from the Queen. She's trying to build solidarity among the others. You know, I hate using that term. It's pejorative. But this is one of the higher-ups, you know, third-level types that she selected to exchange clothes. And,
All right. I don't. Okay, whatever. And he starts to take his clothes off. And Naya does the same, just stripping down to her skivvies and trades him. And she's wearing a pretty generic outfit, so it's pretty unisex. But now he stands out more than she does. And she kind of rubs some dirt on her face, and she says, there, how about this? And she looks like she works in the mines, more so.
I'm going to say, that's great. And I'm going to turn to him and say, all right, you're on break. Feel free to explore the third and second levels and really get into your, really try to explore the other side. You understand what I'm telling you?
The other side?
Yeah. Really try to present yourself as an executive. I mean, this is for building solidarity. She needs to feel like.
Are
a
you
worker.
saying?
You need to feel...
Did the Queen promote me? Am I no longer a lowly peon?
Oh no, you're still a lonely peon. You're just a lowly peon
Oh.
who gets to spend the next 6 hours on break.
Oh, I'll take what I can get, I guess. I do need a break. And he throws down his the like little tool belt thing that he had on, and runs back down the corridor where he came from.
And as soon as he's out of sight, I bend down, pick up the tool belt, and hand it to Naya.
And then the other elf that was there with him says, what are you doing with that tool belt? We kind of need that.
I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna say, as part of this initiative, she's got some work that further up the mine she's gonna be completing. She'll bring it back.
Whatever. Guess it's not the first time the Queen's made my job harder. He turns around and goes back to trying to string these lights by himself now and grumbling about it.
So a little bit further up the way, I'm going to use message to say, how do you like that new initiative?
I like it, Ottovon. You've always had a way with words.
Well, you've got a way with smells right now. Maybe you should walk a few feet further away.
Oh, Ottovon. And then she just keeps walking. She doesn't heed your words. All right, so as you approach the end of this corridor, you suddenly hear a lot of murmuring. It's getting louder and louder as you're getting closer, but there's clearly a large crowd ahead.
All right. Then yeah, I'm just gonna keep on going, completely unabashed. I want to be seen and noticed. I don't want to look skulky. So I'm, got my hands behind my back, chest out. I'm walking proudly.
All right, and Naya has slipped off to the side, trying to stay near workers and stuff, and then keeping an eye on you. She's trying to blend in as best as she can. So she stays tucked to the right side of this cavern. It opens up into a large room, and this room is very much under construction as they're putting up support beams and stuff. So they'll like hollow out caverns, and they have a technique for doing that where they stay mostly stable, but then to keep them permanently stable, they have to construct supports around the sides. And so they have yet to do that. So this room, while stable right now, could potentially become unstable at any moment. So that's why the first step they have to do next is put up these supports. But you see a large crowd in the middle, and they're all arguing, and you see the queen has two of the guards that normally follow her around up there, and she's sitting there and she says, "You two, you're supposed to know everything that's going on here and report to me. How did you not know that Wilhelm found out about our plans?" And they're like, what were we supposed to do, Queen?" And she's like, "Ah! Who here knows what happened to the water?" And then she looks over the crowd. Are you, you said you're trying to be noticed, right?
Yeah. Well, not trying, so I was walking boldly, we'll put it that way. Okay. But I'm kind of laying quietly at the back to see what happens to these two guys. I'm very curious to see, where the rest of this conversation heads.
So as you've hit the back of the crowd without her seeing you yet, are you now trying to be stealthy so she doesn't see you so you can watch?
Yeah, just kind of keep a low profile if I can.
Okay, stealth check, please.
All right. Nothing like that silly robot. I shouldn't say silly robot, but that stealth-obsessed robot.
What?
Knock.
Oh, from Tombs of Annihilation.
Yeah, remember I was hiding during just normal conversations? Yeah.
Okay. All right,
favorable.
so you're able to kind of tuck your face in a little bit at the back there and just keep an eye up, and she looks out over the crowd and she just says, "You're all a bunch of useless peons! I should never have trusted any of you. If I wanted a job done right, I should have done it myself." And she starts throwing things. She's up there, and she's very short. So you'd think that the queen was very tall if you had only seen her statues, but she's very short. Most of the kobolds are quite short.
Gotcha. That's a really funny image. I'm just imagining can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, your voice went echoey for a second, and then the line sounded dead. I'm just imagining this unseen voice with little objects flying up through the air.
Well, so I should mention she's up on a platform, so she's above everybody, and so the two guards she was questioning are up there too, and she's looking out over the crowd from this platform.
Gotcha. Does she say anything else that is helpful, or that would help him put the?
No, she's just kind of grabbing people and then shouting at them "Tell me what's going on here!" And then finally, are you gonna just wait out and see what she does, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait it out just a little bit longer to see if she does anything else that would reveal exactly what's going on in case of the water. Because what she said was. And help me piece this together. She said, how did the Wilhelms find out about the water? And then did she say, where's the water?
She said, how did Wilhelm find out about our plans? And then who knows what happened to the water?
Who knows what happened to the water?
Yeah.
All right. So then, yeah, I'm going to see if she takes things any further, and if she doesn't, if she just rages more and doesn't say anything, I'm going to announce my presence.
Okay. So you wait a few more moments, and she finally gets fed up, and she says, "On your feet!" And the one guard that she had like knocked down to his knees so she could yell at him in his face. She tells him to. So she's shorter than most of the other kobolds, I should say. Like her guards are tall. And okay, I'm just making sure I made that clear. And so she's on your feet. Figure out what's going on here, and she sends them further down the corridor. Kind of points to the direction you're kind of already heading, where this pipe continues downward.
Gotcha. All right. So guards, or is she just waiting for them to get back?
You broke up. What?
I said, does anyone follow these guards? Like, does the crowd start heading that direction too?
No,
generally,
the one guy just says, "Oh, right away, Queen!" and the other one follows right behind him, and they kind of just jump off the platform and they head down. They're wearing suits of metal armor that are gold trimmed, basically. So they're very regal looking sets of armor compared to the normal.
They're set to go do grunt work.
Yeah,
I love it.
And
survey the lines,
so
Royal Guard.
they start following this pipe down, and then you kind of, as you're watching them walk down, the one just kind of shrugs at the other, and the other shrugs back at him, like, I don't know.
That's funny.
And then she turns back to the rest of you, and everyone back to work. Finish the pipeline.
So I'm gonna use a minor illusion to enhance my voice, and just say, Your Majesty, maybe I can be of help.
Okay, and so she hears your voice boom over the crowd, and then she looks across the crowd. I assume you're standing tall so she can see you.
Yep.
And she looks out at the direction your voice came from, and then she squints, and then she says, Ottovon, tell me what you did wrong! And she hops off the platform and starts storming through the crowd. And so you just see the crowd parting, but you don't see her until she emerges from the people right in front of you. And then they kind of give her a wide berth as she comes by, and then she gets down and she reaches up, does a little hop, grabs your shirt, and pulls you down. So you're either going to have to resist or follow her down onto your knee, so that you're face to face.
I'm going to do my best to turn that into a graceful bow, like hand over my stomach, other hand behind my back, bow down as deep as I can.
Okay.
And hope that she lets go.
Ottovon, you were supposed to distract them. What did you do?
Queen Nero, when you sent me for my negotiations with Queen Wilhelm, I was actually quite successful. Thanks to no small part.
Successful? Your negotiations weren't supposed to be successful?
Well, Your Majesty, when I left, my instructions were to try to negotiate a deal with King Wilhelm. And as you can see from this parchment, like I said, your masterful theft.
Do you hand her the parchment?
Of their most precious resource.
She takes the parchment and she shreds it and tears it up on the ground. She says, I don't care what... You weren't supposed to actually succeed in negotiating. You were supposed to distract them while we took their water.
Oh, Queen Nero, forgive me for saying so, but that was not part of the instruction that you gave me. You told me that my job was to try to...
Are you disputing your queen?
No, of course not. My queen has infinite wisdom, and I'm sure
I thought not. Now, do you want to make yourself useful?
I would love to. What message can I take for the Dominion?
You can take this message to the pit. Throw yourself in.
Throw myself in the pit. How does that help me achieve Dominion goals on your behalf?
It helps me not have failure amongst my ranks.
Again, a person's only going to be able to do the job.
Guards! And then these two guards kind of look at each other because their royal guards aren't there. and then like shrug, like, all right, and so they step out of the crowd, and they're kind of wearing this dingy armor, and they step beside you, and they kind of just grab you by the arms, not super hard, just like they look, so they have looks on their faces like dude, we're sorry. Like the queen is crazy. Hello? Lost you. Hello?
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 There we go. I'm back. It did that thing again.
Okay.
But yeah, I look up to him. I look up to him. And are they kobold or are they other races?
Oh, these two are human.
Okay, then yeah, I'm gonna look up to him with that. You know, like yeah, I know.
All right,
Yeah.
and then she turns around and storms back into the crowd. Take him to the pit.
And I'm gonna look up the one and say, she's in a foul mood. Usually, there's at least a little bit of prison before the pit.
All right. That might be a good place to leave it if you're feeling like you're done.
You know, I can keep going if you are willing to, or we can call it a night there.
It's getting pretty late here, and I have a big day tomorrow. I think I might have to call it.
All right.
We got through a lot. You're down in the tunnels now. That gets you closer to where I want you to be.
Nice. Then yeah, let's go ahead and end the recording.
And this was actually nice too, because I wanted to be have you be on a more involved adventure through the Dominion. But since we were going to be with the other players, I was going to gloss over it a lot more, but now we don't have to, so that's nice.
It is nice.
Anyway, if somebody is watching, I don't think they are, but if they are, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday for Tomb of Annihilation.